All right, here we go.
Here we go.
Three hot mics. A good guest, I'm hoping.
Sean, when was the last time you had 3 hot mics?
That was like in my early 20s.
Okay.
Yeah. And by the way, it was confusing. We didn't know which end was up.
I bet.
None of them wanted to be called Michael.
No, Mike.
All right, and they were all equally hot?
They were all equally.
Okay, well, welcome to SmartLess.
SmartLess.
That was fun that we got to see each other today
I know, just a half an hour ago.
in person.
Yeah, listener, very
Yeah.
rarely will the three of us actually see each other in person before we start doing this. And we didn't expend any magic that we won't have
we
left
saved.
for the show.
Yeah, we saved.
We
saved
kept it real
it.
dry.
No, the magic got saved for sure.
Yeah,
I got to
so-
say, Jason was not feeling well, and he was on the other side of the table at this big conference room. And I got home, I got a little tickle in my throat. And
You
I
do
thought,
not.
Mhm.
I don't know.
It's in
Yeah.
your head.
Well,
do you really?
My virus has great reach on it.
Did it? Well, I don't know. It
But
could've
Jay,
been
that
bad.
was so, like Will said, that was so nice of you, if you're feeling sick, to go to the party on Saturday, too.
Yeah, it was nice of you.
Well, but I didn't really feel it just yet. I wasn't really sure, you know.
I would have never known. You were in a good mood and lovely on Saturday.
Jason did this game. He did this game.
What game?
I was standing outside, Sean, and you had just left. We didn't see each other, but Jason came out and he was holding 2 cupcakes. One was a big, normal-sized one, and one was a tiny baby one.
Today,
And
when
he
we
had-
just left?
No,
No,
at
the
the party on Saturday.
Oh.
And so he's got these cupcakes, and he's doing a whole dance with it. And he's like eating the little one, and then somebody said to him, "Why did you have?" Well, I'm just going to eat the little one, and I just got this one. So he continued to talk, and he put the big one, normal one, down, and he eventually. Well, first of all, he was like, "Have you seen this before?" And he took the top off and he turned it upside down and ate it like a sandwich so that you always get an icing bite.
Okay.
But then he put it down. And then this person said that he put it down, then he put it a little further away. And then he just we went over and he walked it over to another table. Is that right, JB? Because you were like, it's too tempting close to you.
You don't want to have a grenade near you.
Wait, I did not know that there was cupcakes there.
Yeah, well,
So, Sean, that was not the
here's
point.
Why. Here's why you don't know.
Fuck me, man.
Well, first of all, you drifted over. I gave everyone a very useful lesson as to how to eat a cupcake, which a lot of people don't know.
I
right?
didn't know that.
You twist off the top, you flip it over, you make it a sandwich, and then you don't get frosting up your nose. That's A. B. The reason you don't know there were cupcakes there, Sean, is because you did what you always do,
Yeah.
very rudely,
Yeah.
very rudely.
No,
is
no.
you're the first one at a party,
Mhm.
so that you can say you were there and that
Yeah.
you can't get yelled at when you leave early because you've put in a bunch of time, and you get your food, and then you pack up your shit and you leave.
It is true.
before anyone.
Because you know what, Sean, it's
is
not
even
about
there yet.
you. I know, and you're
I-
like, I want to go home. Yeah, everybody does, man.
I do want to go. I
There
wanted
was
to
a
go to the
birthday
party. I
cake
thought I
that
was looking
came
forward
out
to it.
later, and some singing.
So why did you
and
leave? Why did you go at
No,
why did you go at 7 when it started and then leave so early?
Me and Richard were there, and Jenny were there.
Richard and I.
Tricky Dicky?
Mhm.
Richard and I. were
And
there.
first. And no, I enjoy going to those things. I was happy to go. I just, I don't have a long fuse for parties.
I'm the one with the short fuse because I can't get into my cups like everyone else, and
That's true.
you start laughing at shit that doesn't deserve to be even smiled at.
Did
know?
you have the chili? I had the chili. It was
Yeah, I
really
had the
good.
chili. I had the chili at the time when everyone else had it. Not
Where did you get
early
the
like
cupcakes?
kids.
JB goes though at one point. We're sitting outside and he goes, I got to get out of here. And I said, he's like said like 3 times. I said, where are you going? And he goes, I got a gummy and a Lakers game to get into, man.
And that late at night on a Saturday?
He was taping.
I record the game.
And Jason's beard and hair is growing so gloriously
It's
long.
crazy. I know.
Apart. That
It
he's
was
gonna
the
do
talk
for
of the
shooting.
party.
No.
Yeah, it was.
It looks good.
How I can't really grow facial hair? It's
No, you
really
look good.
embarrassing.
No, it
It's
looks
really
good
good.
like that.
Yeah, shut up. It looks good.
Where do you see it in 3 more months when it looks really bad?
No, thank you.
No, not no thank you, but also I doubt it. I think it looks really good.
Whose guest is it today?
It's my guess, and guess what?
What?
You're going to be real psyched.
Hey, guessed what?
Guessed what?
Sean.
Thank you.
It's true. You guys are going to be. You guys are going to be.
Well, let us guess. We've never
Okay.
really guessed. Okay,
Just
so
from the-
male,
just from-
male or female?
No, guess. You want to be a big.
Well, can you?
But you know what?
You're going to
Male.
narrow it down. I'm going to get
Male.
5 guesses to nail it down a
Male.
little bit narrower.
Male.
Okay.
Actor?
Yes.
Older or younger than us?
Younger,
Well,
decidedly.
okay.
Well, not decidedly, but yeah, more than just a little more than 2
This
years.
is a person who is America or
he
the
has
world.
to get ready for this. His awards nominations has its own Wikipedia page.
Really?
Christ. And this,
Yeah.
okay, this is mostly film or television or music?
Mostly film, some television but mostly film. I mean, 2 Academy Award nominations, 2 BAFTAs, 4 Emmys.
Is this person British?
No, American. 3 Globes, 5 SAG Award nominations, Tony Award nomination, Critics' Choice up the wazoo.
Jesus,
Every
I'm
critic.
fucking
Yeah.
nervous now.
I know,
God
I'm
damn
nervous.
it.
Okay, you know what? Here, I'll give you a list of the names of all the directors this guy's worked with. You ready for this?
Oh my God.
Tell me if you like any of these names. Ridley Scott,
Okay.
Terry Gilliam, Steven Soderbergh, Martin Scorsese.
Is Russell?
J.J. Abrams.
Did I just guess it right?
No, Noah Baumbach.
Adam Driver?
Sean Levy. Yeah, it's Adam Driver.
Did I get him?
No way! Did Adam
Bring him
Driver?
on out. Hey, that's my brother. That's my sweet
I know.
brother.
That's why I said you're going
I
to
was
be.
gonna say,
Wait, you
I've
guys
seen
know
you.
you guys know each other?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we worked on a project together. Adam, you were awesome on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, thank you
Amazing.
very
I just
much.
watched
So
it too.
good, dude.
Thank
So
you.
good.
Hysterical.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hysterical. The
Look
beep
at-
beeps.
You know, it's just like when you get a real actor in there doing Saturday Night Live, you every sketch works. You know, it's this guy's making choices.
Yeah. Yeah, and I
I think
noticed
that's
you
the
didn't.
key to Saturday Night Live. I don't know. I think he's just sensitive to the material, and he's a funny dude, obviously.
Well, he's making choices, good choices.
I've seen some
solid
good
choices.
actors fucking bomb on SNL, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
he's just
That's got.
got, Adam, you were so good. You were so,
So
funny.
good.
Your timing is so fucking good, dude.
So
We are
funny.
dating this episode, but all good. What about the piano playing? That seemed very
I
real.
know. I was blown away.
Yeah, it was real.
Is
yeah,
that you?
I played. Yeah.
That's
Oh
amazing.
my God, I'd love to see a piano off between you. That's the term, right? A piano off between you and Sean.
I don't know if they use that.
You're
I'd
very
lose.
Yeah,
talented.
that's a term.
I lose.
Adam,
yeah.
tell me about that. How long did you play piano? Did you study?
Well, I played since I was a kid, but my mom tried to teach me, so it wasn't very. I didn't stick to it. I feel like you're supposed
You
to
could cancel on her.
Right. You're not supposed to. Right. You're not supposed to have a parent teach you how to play piano because you never actually stick with it. Yeah. So that's
Is that true?
Yeah, that's why I dropped
Is that
it.
the? Huh.
You know, my parents thought they were being real crafty when I said, I don't want to play. I hate practicing. You're going to practice. They would make me, and you have the same material for a week, right? Because you have lessons once a
yeah.
week. And so they would say, we're going to find out whether you're practicing or not. You're going to record your lesson. Or sorry, you're going to record your practice and we're going to play it when we get home from work. And so I just record it once on the Monday and then just playing the same tape all week.
Yeah.
And like they never figured it out. There was not a lot of progress from
Really?
Monday to Sunday, but yeah, that was it. They weren't bright, but they were strict.
And you've always been such a fucking shit.
Yeah,
You know what? You've always been just a little shit since the day you were fucking born.
it's not
baby.
about me though. Let's talk to Adam.
Adam Driver, dude, I'm so stoked to have you on here.
God,
I just,
this is
I
so
just think
wild.
you're just such a talented dude. Everything you do is so fucking
thank you.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
He's
man.
not
And
my
then,
guest.
and
Should
then when I
have been
start
my
to
guest.
find out, when I like looking back and looking about your sort of your background. I mean, you didn't. It seems to me, and tell me if I'm wrong. You're from Southern California, right? Is that were you raised in Southern California?
No,
or
I was raised in Indiana. I lived in San Diego. Yeah, till I was 7.
Okay, so until you were 7, then raised in Indiana. So you're raised in Indiana. Then 9/11 hits. You join the military, right? You go into the Marines, and I know you've talked about it before, but you go in. But it just seems like you had to kind of go a long way to get. But you knew what you wanted to do. Like you wanted to go to Juilliard the first time when you were 17. Is that right?
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you ended up going later. Like, walk me through. I just what I'm sort of driving at is
Get it?
You
that
will get to talk
I
at
know,
some point.
know.
I swear, Adam.
No, is that
Get ready.
I'm fine. I could just listen to you guys.
you're just a dude who is destined to do. Like, you knew what you wanted to do, and it was fucking. You were just going to get there no matter what.
Kind of. I did plays in high school. And then I auditioned for Juilliard because they didn't check grades. That was the prerogative of colleges that I was going to. And I knew that the Juilliard had a reputation of being the best acting school for theater. And then I didn't get in. And then 9/11 happened. And I feel like a lot of people, a lot of friends in Indiana all thought they were going to join, but then none of them did. And then I was the only one that did. Kind of like we all got riled up, and then I was the only one that actually walked through the door. And then, and then it wasn't until I was in the military really that I'm like, oh, if I get if I get to be a civilian again, or when I get to be a civilian again, I knew I wanted to go back and try again to be an actor.
Now, was that ever in question? By the way, how deep did you get into your military exploits?
I loved it. The whole plan when I was in the military was to make a career of it. Was to retire, in the Marine Corps.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
really?
And then it was only because I had a mountain biking accident. I broke my sternum that. Then I tried to train on it so I could still go overseas because all of the guys that I went to boot camp and then SOI and then went into the fleet with, it was all the same kind of core group of people. And then they were all going to go do a Westpac of Iraq and Afghanistan. And again, I was kind of trying to train on a broken sternum so I could go with them. And I got dropped to a different unit and all my friends went. And so it was not good. And then it was taking a long time to heal. So I had to be medically separated.
But you didn't get to go.
No, I didn't.
So wait.
Didn't go.
So you were joining the Marine Corps as a response to 9/11, or you wanted to do it anyway?
It was kind of twofold. Once it was a response to 9/11, but also I wasn't doing anything. I was working odd jobs. I had 2 telemarketing jobs, and I was working at
Would love to hear a little bit of that script.
one was for a basement waterproofing company called Ben Franklin Construction. You probably I don't. And then the other one was
Are things smelling dank downstairs? Don't hang up.
I used to have to read that same script, but for a different business.
Hey,
Really?
For a different business.
Sure. I know. Wink, wink.
So keep going.
But that was kind of it. And I got something in the mail, and my stepdad and I were having an argument about me being a loser and not having any jobs. And he kind of like offhandedly said maybe you should join the military. And it was in the same time of everyone kind of being like, well, we want to get involved and do something.
Yeah.
So it kind of all kind of coalesced. And I think I made the decision by January, and by February I was gone. So much so that they were like, are you on the run from the law? Because usually people take a...
You're very eager, Mr. Driver. Yeah.
Wow.
How's your
that's
relationship with your
crazy.
stepdad now?
That's good.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly
Is it?
good.
Yeah? Is he proud of you?
Yeah.
I guess who won? I guess you won the question of whether or not you were a loser. I mean,
Yeah.
you overachieved.
Not only
in
am I
that
going to
department.
join the military, but I'm going to go through boot camp, I'm going to become a Marine, and then I'm going to kick ass in the completely opposite end of the world as well.
Yeah, and become a fucking movie star. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. So you come back from serving, you get out, you leave the military, or you get discharged, as you said, and then you're like, what? Back at square one. You're like, how do you climb the mountain that you've climbed? Like, what was?
You reapplied at Juilliard, yeah?
I reapplied to Juilliard. Actually, I should say before I left for the military, I tried coming to LA and doing the whole acting thing, and that totally failed. I had like a Lincoln Town car, and I was paying rent in the back of my parents' house. And I loaded up this massive car, and I drove all across country to California, and I broke down in Amarillo, Texas, and wound up spending all my money fixing my car. So by the time I got to Santa Monica, not even LA, I was here for 48 hours before I had to turn around and drive right back because I didn't have any more money. I had no money to stay.
I drove out too from Chicago, and my car broke down in Colorado, like around a mountain, and I was dragging the muffler for like the last part, and I had to pull over. It cost me $1,000, but I made it.
Oh, really? Yeah, same. I slept in my car. It was outside of Amarillo, Texas, and I got hitched a ride into town, and then took my car and got it fixed. But that was all my money. And I had just $200 left, which I knew from having just made the trip was enough gas money to get home. And I made a whole production about saying goodbye to everybody back in Indiana.
Sure.
I was like,
And then 48 hours later, you're back.
yeah.
I can't believe that.
But
Jesus.
you know, Adam, a lot of people would, after an experience like that, which is, I mean, that's not traumatizing, but like, it's a lot. Like you go through, you make like you said, you make a big production out of. I'll see you guys later. You give your farewell to the troops, as it were, and then a week later you're back or less. And then you go and you go into the military. A lot of people would be like, you know what? The universe was trying to tell me something, or it's a lot to pick yourself up again and to go. No, I want to fucking do this. This is kind of what I'm getting at the beginning, which is like you're just like, no, you're determined. You knew that you had a purpose in this world. In this, especially doing this.
Not really. No, I still didn't want to. The idea of being an actor was like being an astronaut. I had no connections to anybody in the acting world and in a small town in Indiana. So I just kind of put that idea to bed. I still liked movies but I just kind of gave up on that. And then when the Marine Corps came along, I fully threw myself at that. And it was only during the military where I felt like, well, in comparison to the Marine Corps, civilian life, I think, should be pretty easy. I knew that New York was kind of what I wanted to do. If I ever got out and having, I could sleep in Central Park. Like I felt more confident that I could be an adult and survive.
How did you know you were any good at acting?
I found in high school the response I got from people was positive. But it's in a high school in Indiana. I didn't really know until I auditioned for Juilliard the second time,
So how did that happen? So you get out of the military. How do you audition the second time? Like, what was that process like?
So I got out and I went to a school called University of Indianapolis, and then I started getting parts in plays right away. And I knew that the audition date for Juilliard was, they had 4 days in New York. They don't do this now, but they used to do 4 days in New York, 4 days in Chicago, and 4 days in LA. And I knew they had were auditioning in Chicago in February, so I drove up and I stayed the night and I auditioned in Chicago. And then, then I found out I got in like 2 months later.
No.
Did you enjoy your time in the Marine Corps? And while you were there, were you thinking about acting the whole time? You're like, I can't wait to get out of here? Or was it...
No. I enjoyed it until a point. And then I really, because I was on the verge of being separated, all my guys kind of left.
Yeah.
That I, then I'm like, okay, then maybe I shouldn't, I'm not long for this.
Yeah. That's weird, because the whole time Sean's acting, he's thinking about Marines. Hey, so, listen.
Like a yin-yang thing.
I mean, it's great.
I get it, Adam.
So you go to fucking Chicago. It blows me away, man. It's just like, not long shot, because you're obviously a mega talented dude, but you go and you audition, and then 2 months later you find out it's your fucking dream. What's your reaction when you find out you get into Juilliard? Like,
God, it was beyond. I was working full time at a Target distribution warehouse and going to school full time at University of Indianapolis. So it was kind of pulling all-nighters and then going to school full time. So I was, beyond, jumping and screaming all the.
It must have felt like getting like, this is your chance. You're going to get pulled into this, out of your world and into this other world that you've been trying to get into and you've been dreaming of. This is about to happen. It must have felt like that.
But I wasn't even thinking of like, oh, now I'm going to be an actor in plays, or now I'm going to be in films. Just the idea of going to New York was enough.
Right.
Oh, and the the alumni of Juilliard, I was very aware of, and how, it's a conservatory, and it was a great place to put a lot of energy. It was in the early 20s. So
did you have a good idea of what it? I mean, obviously you got a very good idea of what it would be like to live in New York. We all see it in TV and movies and whatnot. But Juilliard itself, did you have a pretty decent idea of what that experience was going to be like? And if so, did it match with that idea once you got there?
No frame of reference for what living in New York would be. Well, other than films but no frame of reference of like an acting conservatory. A lot of the kids in my class were like 4 years younger than I was, and kind of had gone to performing arts schools, or they were there for their graduate degree. They don't do this anymore. Even if you went to an undergrad program, you would get your diploma, but now it's a graduate program also. But so they people had come from performing arts backgrounds, and I didn't. So when I moved to the city the summer before I started, and would go to the performing arts library and try to read plays that everybody knew that I didn't know, like Tony Kushner plays and
That's so cool.
David Mamet plays, and I'd watch the performances in the video library
At Lincoln Center.
At Lincoln Center, yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool.
so
you know, I know you did Burn This in 2019.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I did that in college. Of course, I played Larry. You played Pale. Of course, we would have been a brilliant match
It
together.
would have been great.
But a friend of mine was in the play, and they didn't. And on the huge marquee downtown LA, he did Burn This, and they didn't separate the letters, so it looked like burnt his. And so that's what we refer to.
That's LA theater for you.
That's
right
LA
there.
theater. But now, Adam, I've never met you. I'm a huge fan. I'm like chomping at the bit to ask you about Star Wars, which I'm sure you're sick of talking about.
Just cool it.
But I know I won't. But I'm a huge
Sorry,
fan.
we apologize.
But you do seem
up front.
like, not knowing you at all, you seem to be a very kind, sweet, down to earth, intelligent, yet introverted person. And so, what is it like doing something like Saturday Night Live, which is the opposite of being introverted, and it's just going balls out? Like, is it scary, and is that why you wanted to do it, or is it like just another job?
No, well, it's kind of theater. I mean, in a way.
Yeah.
So I that's what I at least try to remind but it's terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
But I enjoy how it feels like theater on film. I like those old school plays on tape that they used to do live. Richard Burton, doing Camelot, and that's the only modern day equivalent of a show that does that. And I really enjoy the pressure. I don't know, it's massive. But I'm also on my best behavior in things like this and in public. The real egomaniacal asshole that's just waiting to come out all the time.
We can't wait to meet him.
It's been a few weeks with you. There's
him
no
out,
monster in there. You did seem beautifully
Like, so relaxed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was an energy there for sure, but you certainly weren't terrified. It was,
No.
pretty cool.
Yeah, the last. I mean, the first time I did it, I thought I was going to pass out when walk out. But this time, I felt at ease, and I enjoy the pressure, and I like it when there's a lot to do, in this. When the pressure's on and there's a lot of text and a lot of moving pieces and a lot of things falling apart, I actually kind of enjoy it. It reminds me of theater.
I noticed you're not really
sure.
reading the cards that much either. Did you try to commit certain lines to memory so you could perform them well?
Yeah. Because I don't like it usually when you can kind of tell that someone's reading the cards, and it kind of destroys the illusion. And when they're well written, it's easy to memorize. So some of it is it's not that difficult.
They hate it when you don't read the cards, though. Gets
Yeah,
very
yeah.
nervous.
Yeah.
Is there one sketch that you particularly loved doing last Saturday?
There's one that I really liked that was cut. It was this one called Court Case, and it was this 3-page speech that's not funny at all. And I really, and it only works if it's played as if it's absolutely serious. And we cut it. But then they released it online afterwards. But I loved that at the dress, I loved the dead air and how awkward it was in the audience.
Sure.
I loved the.
Wait, are they doing that now? Are they
Releasing
putting the,
cut sketches?
the dress? On,
Yeah. Well, some of
online?
it. They.
Oh, that's cool.
With those, there was 2 of them that they released. This like Court Case one and this one called Actor's Journey. And
For Tracy, dress is short for dress rehearsal.
That's a cool idea. Yeah. So right, for Tracy, let her know that they do dress rehearsal earlier on Saturday night. It's like a full performance of the show with some additional sketches, and they cut a couple sketches before the live show. The dress usually is over by about 10:30. And then the live show is 11:30. But I think that's cool because there have been so many great sketches over the years that were cut after dress for various reasons, and not always because they didn't work, just because sometimes political, et
They also
cetera.
don't like the term skit either. It's sketch, right?
Yeah.
Never skit.
Oh, yeah, never say skit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like it. I like Lauren. I like it feels like a
Yeah, you're very comfortable in it.
And
And you're so
it
great at
suits
comedy
you.
too. I mean,
Yeah, you're really good at it.
Do you have? I know you're not a strategic guy. You're so beautifully down to earth with your career, it seems. But do you ask your people to look for comedy versus drama and try to keep a balance there, or is just kind of like the best script wins?
Yeah, lately now, because I'm trying to change, because I was working consistently for like basically all through my 30s, and now that I have 2 kids, I've been trying to switch of how I've been working, where now I'm just like I can't be gone that long, and I don't want to be gone that long anymore, so I'm trying to probably like game the system, and for me the only way is trying to work on things from the beginning, if I can, but I'm not against it. It's just whatever. No one's really asked me to do something like that, and I haven't found anything that I really wanted to do. But if something came along, I would totally do it.
Right.
But you don't sort of like wake up in the middle of the night and stare at the ceiling and go like, I need to do a comedy.
No,
like,
the right move.
Yeah.
No. I'd like to. I mean, I'd like to, but if I also don't want it to be bad, So I would, the Albert Brooks of it to me is like, the top. There's not a lot of people that are writing like that, and you really got to find them. And
they're tough. They're tough to find.
How old are your kids?
8 months is
wow.
my youngest, and 6 is my other one. So 6.
My kids are 5 years apart.
Are they? Is that good for you?
I mean, it's good because one gets to help you take care of the other, or at least they think they are.
Yeah.
But then, like, hanging out, at a certain age is like, it's not, when what are they now, 17 and 12. It's, like they're going to be closer when they get older. But there are times when that 5-year gap is
Although,
not
JB,
worse.
I will say one of the nice things I've seen a couple of times is your 17-year-old dropping your 12-year-old at school because they go to the same school.
Yeah.
And that's pretty funny. Watching Franny drop Maple was one of the funniest fucking things.
That's funny.
Right. Yeah, I don't like it though. Yeah, I miss it. How you liking dad stuff?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm in what you're describing as science fiction to me. The idea that one kid will, even now he is very protective over her, and I feel like we gave him 6 years of attention, and he's totally fine.
And if you're like me, you missed changing diapers, you missed swaddling, you missed I was so excited to get to do it again.
Oh, I am not. No. This time I'm like, oh yeah, we forgot how much babies suck. They don't tell you anything. They get runny noses, and it just destroys the next 3 days. And they have sleep regressions, and they're teething. I mean, I am more aware this time that I'm like, oh, this is finite. That it's I have to remember this because it's going to go away quickly. Where the first time I wasn't. I was so anxious for him to get older that I wasn't.
And also the first time you're not, because you've never done it. You're like, is this normal? Should he be sick this much? And should he be not eating? He hasn't eaten for 2 days. Jesus, fucking! You end up having those.
Yeah.
We have a 3.5-year-old, and we've just kind of emerging from it again after my older kids are teenagers, and I'm like, fuck, man, I just forgot exactly what you're talking. Just forgot all that shit.
Right.
Waking up in the night, all the fucking. I'm like, fuck.
Right, and they're durable. I mean, the first one you don't realize how durable they are, and the second one you're like, it's fine. She's fine. She's okay.
Yeah.
So Force Awakens, Star Wars. I just want to.
Well, let's talk about how you diaper your dog, Sean, real quick.
No, I just want to get through it so you guys don't have to suffer.
Okay, again, Adam, we
and then we can move on.
apologize.
And then we can move on.
Do you want to call Scotty in here? I mean,
Yeah, I did. I texted him, and he said, he wrote, everybody knows it's no secret that me and Scotty are huge
Sean's
fans.
husband Scotty is like the two of them are like the massive.
Adam might not be up on you and Scotty's,
Yeah, that's okay.
movie
That's what I'm
taste.
saying. That's what I'm telling. No, everybody who listens is listening. So, Adam, when you
Again, that's like 25 people. Here we go. Question, please.
25 people.
We're good.
So I have the obvious stock questions, which is
it real?
no. Please don't tell me it's not real.
Yeah.
Please tell me it's all real.
Totally real. I'm there now.
Oh God, you walk around.
I'm there now.
No, I want to know, like, were you a fan before? What was it like getting
One at a time.
that call to be like, you're
you can ask
part
him
of
one at
this
a time.
iconic thing? Okay, sorry.
What was the first one?
First one was like,
I was a
what
fan.
were you a fan?
Were you a
Like-
fan?
I
like
was a
big
fan. I grew up. My dad was more of a Star Trek fan than a Star Wars
Yeah.
fan, but I did have a couple Star Wars toys that we got at garage sales. But I was a fan of the movies. Yeah, but
Yeah.
and then to be asked to do it was, I thought about it a lot because again, I didn't want to be bad in it. It was
So,
I
so
knew-
you got an offer.
Yeah. I got an offer, but there was no script to read, which I'd never done before. So you had to commit to it. JJ walked me through the whole thing, but there was no script that you could actually see how that played out.
But also, Adam, I'm sure you thought at the time, because I was certainly, we had just finished working together. I was very well aware of you, your talent, your position in the community, what your potential was as far as jobs and fancy directors and all that stuff. I'm sure at a point you must have thought, even though you're not a strategic thinker, annoying like that, must have thought, well, I don't want to sign up for something where this is going to be louder than anything I'll ever do in my career. Am I tying myself to this for multiple films? And did any of that go through your head? I'm sure it must have a little bit.
No,
right?
actually, no. I never thought that this was going to be the only job I got. I mean, I don't know why I didn't think that it was going to be. I didn't think I'd do anything bigger than that. But I'd hoped, I was optimistic that I would work after it, and hopefully not, but. I wasn't thinking that too far ahead like that of what the end result of it would be, because the end result could also be you were in a movie that everybody saw and nobody liked, and they didn't like you in it, and they didn't like the movie, and the idea that a movie of that scale that anyone would actually watch it. Like I was just coming from Girls, and This Is Where I Leave You, and like Tracks.
So you were so great in that movie.
Thanks, and it was very.
And passionate people about it, like Sean, would be like, "What is he doing in this? And he's ruining the franchise."
No,
you don't want that.
No, I would never.
Right,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
got to be cool, like to go through the process of like seeing the drawings of your character, and then the fittings, the costume fittings, and then touching the props, and like all that stuff must have been
Touching
so
the
surreal.
props.
Like the
Careful, you
lightsabers and stuff.
don't wreck your pants, Sean.
Jesus Christ.
That'd be so cool. By the way, you're one of the few people that I turned to Scotty and I said, I have such a massive talent crush on that guy.
Yeah.
Because you're so good in everything you do, but especially in
I agree.
in
And
that franchise.
you know what is amazing, and kind of also this kind of fits in, Jason, a little bit with what you were saying, is like you do like these, Star Wars, one of the most, I don't know if there's a bigger sort of brand in terms of film and maybe it's sort of the Marvel cinema universe and all that kind of shit. But you do that, and not only does it not paint you into a corner, it kind of does the opposite. It opens you up to all these people globally, and then you continue going. I said at the start when the boys were trying to guess who my guest was. If you look at the list of directors that you've worked with, it's almost peerless, man. You're in that way. It's remarkable how many of these incredible, some of the greatest directors of our time have all wanted. Have all asked you to come and go on these sort of creative journeys with them, and that's got to feel very. And I guess, I also noticed like the way that you talk about stuff. Like, you are not a strategic thinker. Like it seems like you are like, you just kind of go with what inspires you. Am I right about that a little bit?
Well, yes and no. I'm not strategic in that I'm like, oh, this needs to make money. So we, although I should think that way, where I do get now that you don't do movies that make money, they'll stop asking you to make movies. So that's what I've been told. But in my mind, it's a filmmaker's medium, so I'm strategic in that. Well, isn't the goal then to work with great filmmakers and sometimes I feel like if I connect with it, then I can. But people that I've wanted to work with where the thing that they wanted to do, I knew I couldn't do, or I felt like I wouldn't get there, and so I'm not really answering your question. But I am strategic in that, like, it's a filmmaker's medium. It's a plays or a playwright's medium. TV seems to be a writer's medium. That's those are the people that I always wanted to work with, and I made myself available to try to work with them if it came up.
You've also in the last 2 years portrayed two very significant Italian men. One a designer and both incredible creative minds. If you think about within their thing, right? You played Maurizio Gucci,
Right.
and Enzo, and now you're playing currently Enzo Ferrari. I mean, that's
Yeah, I guess that's a good example of not being strategic in a way that I probably should. So many people have been like, "How many I'm like, it's just kind of worked out that way. And I think someone probably should have said, like maybe because it's going to come up a lot, But I'm like, well, it's Ridley and it's Michael, and they're in my mind some of the best filmmakers of all time. Who gives a shit that there's two Italians back to back?
Exactly.
Yeah, who gives a shit? And also, like you said, two incredible filmmakers and two great stories.
Yeah.
So who gives a shit what it is? You'd make 10 in a row, probably. I imagine you would if they were great stories and great directors, right?
Yeah, well, probably not Italians anymore, though. But because I'm surprised how much it comes up. It's like, you have a thing. I'm like, it's two. It's two Italian.
I
know.
It's like, I'm like, oh right, these things are not a place. This is, but press isn't a place that you have a nuanced conversation. That seems like a hard idea of like, well, what is it with Italy? And it's like, well, I mean, it's less to do with Italy, although I like it, but it's more about Ridley Scott and Michael Mann and the projects themselves, and Italy is not the first thing on my mind.
Right. You're not calling your agents going like, hey, give me another great Italian role to play.
Yeah, right. Campari, I hear, is not done at
I really like
let's go.
like to corner that market.
What about? Were you into car racing at all beforehand? No, it probably didn't.
I was
matter,
into
right?
cars. I was into cars, but I couldn't. I wasn't. I knew of Ferraris mostly from Miami Vice. But it was unattainable. It wasn't part of my upbringing.
Right. Well, again, Michael Mann, right there.
Are you like a sports guy? You play a lot of sports, boxing, or anything like that? Like,
I know. I like watching. I'm kind of stuck in time a little bit in late '90s Michael Jordan.
Right.
So I'm just now only recently, because I'm trying to work less, I've gotten back into going to basketball. But basketball is my sport.
Does that make you a Knicks fan or a Pacers fan?
I think it makes me a Nets fan because I'm in Brooklyn.
A Nets.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But so basketball is your thing, and but you're not like a watch football all day kind of guy or anything like that.
No. I wish I did. I mean, sometimes I watch football all day, but not really. No. I mean, I'll watch like Tyson highlights, but like Mike Tyson highlights, but I won't keep up to date with I missed the Tyson Fury fights, and I'm not a full
Mike
man.
Tyson.
Yeah.
Remember Mike Tyson was just like, it was just horrific watching what he would do to people, and I could not stop watching.
No.
We haven't had a boxer like that since him, have we? No.
No. I mean, what's his name? The English guy who's wait, you just said him.
Tyson Fury?
Tyson Fury, yeah.
Yeah.
He's been fairly dominant, but not in that same way. This last fight, didn't he get knocked down twice, 2 or 3
Now
times?
it's all UFC, right?
Yeah.
It's all UFC. I can't, I'm sure we'll have some fans who are like, grow up, but I find UFC to be so dark.
Oh, grow up.
The energy is so dark for me. I don't know. There's something about it. It seems
it's tough.
real.
Did I tell you, I used to watch it right before I go to bed. One time in the middle of the night in my dream, I thought I was in a fight, and I threw an elbow at Amanda, and I just missed her freaking nose. I just whacked the pillow that she was sleeping on because I was in a fight in my dream.
Because you're watching UFC?
Right before I went to bed. It was like the stupidest thing. I was like, I might as well have a big steak, too. I'd end up killing somebody. Anyway, sorry, we digress.
I don't know.
Adam, are you going to, is there any more talk about more Star Wars stuff? Like,
Oh,
no?
my
Oh, boy, look who's back.
Yeah, they're doing stuff. Yeah, but not with me. I'm not doing it.
You're done because of the character stuff.
Yeah.
All right. But wait, did you?
But would you? but if you did, what character do you think you might play?
But if they came to you tomorrow and if JJ was really nice about it.
No, I want to know, can you just give me one good story from filming it, like something that was great or went wrong or like something that was like surprising? Oh, you know what? You know what I loved? This is what I loved. Okay. When it was at the end of Force Awakens, and you're doing the final like battle with Rey.
It's like he's stuck in an elevator at Comic-Con, and you're fucking. This is a fucking nightmare for him.
I just want to say I'm never
doing?
going to run into the guy ever again. So. Well, I hope I do. But when you're wounded, when she got you, and you're walking around in a circle, and you start banging the side of your hip like this, trying to get like the pain away or something because you're bleeding.
Yeah.
I think whose idea was that? Such a cool, specific actor. I've never seen that. So cool.
Thanks. I will actually legitimately say that was mine. The idea that how it was pitched to me was. Again, none of these were written, but at the very beginning was that his journey was supposed to be the opposite of Vader's, in that he starts almost the most, as opposed to someone who's the most dark from the beginning, and then by the end of the series becomes the most vulnerable, that he starts the most vulnerable and becomes little by little more committed to the dark side. I feel like eventually they I think, got rid of that idea, but in my mind, as I was playing it, that's what I was working towards. So all of this stuff is anytime that even abstractly that, and by the end of the movie, it starts anything that starts to come into his world that reminds him that he's vulnerable. He has to get rid of it. So I think just in an abstract way, it was
okay. So then, when you got wounded and you were bleeding, you're like, I got to get rid of this.
Like, yeah. If
that's really cool.
It wasn't very conscious. I wasn't consciously thinking of it. I think that's just like this pain.
So cool.
He's trying to snuff out anything. He's getting more and more. So by the time after he kills Han, hopefully that you see in his face that he shifts into, he's made a choice that he's going to commit to the dark side.
Yeah.
How did you like the pace of that? It's all the effects and stunts and things like that. I would imagine because of their luxury of schedule too, that you didn't have to shoot a lot of pages every day. I just remember working with you that you like to keep a nice momentum going. You stay in it and you're ready. How were you able to throttle up and throttle back with the slow pace?
There's a massive adjustment. Even when this is where I leave you, I hadn't quite figured out where to be economical at all. So I the breaks in between, I'd never figured out the language of a film set. So I was still figuring it out. So I was wasting just a lot of energy trying to keep something like a kind of an engine going. That was I made. Star Wars was way more exhausting for me than I made it more exhausting than it should have been, because I hadn't quite figured out the momentum of a set that was that big before. All the things I'd worked on were really small and they moved pretty fast. And
so what did you learn? I love that idea. Yeah, I remember saying to somebody like coming off Arrested Development and then doing a couple movies, and I was like, fuck, making a movie is so boring. Because it would just take so fucking long, and you have all this big time in between, and how do you stay, especially making a comedy? It's so hard to make a good comedy movie because there's no momentum, and you need that to keep it up, right? And so what did you do actively to kind of train yourself to perform in films that was different? What? Did you have something like a technique that you? Yeah, well,
usually the director sets the pace of the set. I don't like to be the person that tries to control the pace or rhythm of a set. I kind of let the person that's, they kind of, and so I have to adjust. Like Spike Lee and Soderbergh shoot really fast, and for me that's not comfortable. But it's their movie and their film, so I adjust to what it is that they're doing. So things like that, I won't go back to the trailer. I'll stay on set mostly, and then if I need to escape, a conversation, a side conversation, then I will, just to try to stay focused. If
like questions about Star Wars or something.
Yeah, right. Some fucking uber nerds. So you're trying to get into being Enzo Ferrari, and you've got one more thing. When they were on planet Voltan, was it true that the Corinthian sun burned their helmets off? Hey man, I don't know.
Sean, of all the characters in all the Star Wars universe, what character do you think you would have liked to have played the most?
Me?
Yeah,
C-3PO.
Luke Skywalker, of course.
Yeah.
Huh.
Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, of course.
Well, with a lower octave, maybe.
What's that?
Hey, Pa.
Yeah. We want to go, something about the Tashi station. We wanted to go back to the Tashi station or something. Mark Hamill says it really whiny. It's such a funny line. Everybody makes fun of it now, but it was so great.
Right. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I wanted to go
think I
back
do.
into town to pick up some power converters at the Tashi station.
I remember that. That's the first one, right?
Yeah, that's the very first one. And Adam, but last, we're done with the Star Wars. But are you so happy to not have to talk about it at length? I know we did a little bit here, but are you like, do you try to avoid, like, do you
Idiots like
try
you?
to focus on moving forward?
No, I don't. Honestly, not a lot of people talk to me about it. When they do, they mostly ask me. Even what you're asking is different than what most people ask me. So, and the only thing about it is I would talk at length often about some movie that you're trying to support, and then you say one thing about Star Wars and that becomes the thing. There, I'm like, oh,
Right.
what the fuck was the point of?
Yeah.
Do you miss shooting a series in Brooklyn? Do you wish you could?
I do.
Right?
Yeah,
Do you really?
I bet you'd love that.
Yeah,
right
well, because
now.
I'd be close to home and like
Yeah.
it was, I didn't realize how luxurious that was.
Wait, you said this already. Where are you from originally?
Indiana. Well, I was raised in Michigan.
yeah.
Oh, look who just joined the podcast. He said it. And we talked about it a few times.
He was in a blackout trying to form a Star Wars question.
Most people, when they talk in the conversation, they don't spend all their time thinking about what I'm going to say when other people are talking. You just listen.
God, wait,
That's how
get in.
conversation happens.
So what's your feeling about, I think it's fascinating when people
Would
live
you
in
ever
New York.
move to Indiana?
Yeah. You would never live in Los Angeles. It's just not your speed.
No.
Well,
it's
he
not.
did.
No, yeah, no, it's not my. I enjoy the Four Seasons. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
Right.
God, that's been coming up so much lately with us about L.A. and New York, right? JB, we were talking about it the other night.
Yeah.
And I lived in New York for over 20 years. And when I left, when my older kids were little, I moved to L.A. and I was like, I don't know if I ever want to move to New York. And now these days, more and more, I'm like,
I've been
Really
dying
wanna
to
move
live here
back to
since
New
I
York.
was 16.
How
I
come
mean,
you?
I would love.
Why'd you stay?
I would just love to because of the seasons, because of the there's so many different industries that are centered there. So the people you talk to have something to say about so many things you know
it's
nothing
not
about.
a company town like L.A.
Yeah.
LA is such a company town.
Right.
And
No,
it is
yeah.
boring in that way. We always say that, like, if all your references are just about this, then
Hey, what you working on? Yeah.
Right. That's what I feel when I come here, but I didn't think I was like, maybe I'm just because every time I come, it's for something that is related to that. So I'm like, well, but I've actually never spent time here, so I can't really say that. But it feels that way. It feels like with New York, there's just so much other shit going on that has nothing to do with
It's stimulating.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
It
you
is
see
stimulating.
everybody's working, doing something that you don't know anything about. It's very interesting.
Which, if you can, it's also nice to get out of the city if you can, because you can just be sitting in your apartment and feel the energy of the place outside and feel like you need to be doing something, which is also like can be exhausting.
Yeah.
But no, I love New York. No, they all always.
Yeah, I do too.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
It's hard to put you
I know,
guys to
I'm
sleep with
coming.
that.
I have a question for all three of you because you all three have kids.
Yeah.
When you take your kid to a school for the first time, it's got to be like, I don't want to deal with have to meet everybody. How are you? Like, and then they are asking to ask you dumb questions. Like I'm asking you, Adam, dumb questions or whatever. You're going to find yourself trapped by teachers or other parents or whatever. How do you deal with all of that?
Because you're a known person.
Yeah, you're
or?
in the public eye.
Well, when my son was born, when he was before he was in school, I didn't really go outside with him much because I didn't want people to bother him.
Yeah.
And then the one time I went out with him in Italy, immediately, we were like, oh, it's the pandemic. Like clearly no one's following us, and boom, they got us, and people took pictures of my kid. But then it was kind of like to a point where I should go outside I'm missing out on all this shit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Do you get hassled? Do you get hounded a lot by paparazzi and stuff like that?
not paparazzi necessarily, but people.
Yeah.
And it's all good. It's fine. But after when you're with your kid and you're trying to do something, and then now he's at the age where he's starting to track.
Put it together.
Yeah.
So what does it look like for you? I mean, I do want to ask you a little bit about Ferrari because you talked about working with.
I can't wait to see it.
I know.
Yeah, me
working
neither.
with Michael Mann, obviously. What was that process like for you? Because I mean, that was pretty all-encompassing, I imagine.
Yeah. It was prosthetics that we didn't realize were going to be as involved. We had no money. Well, I mean, we had money, but not a lot of money for how Michael wanted to do it, and not a lot of time. So it was very, 17-hour days, sometimes a couple times 20-hour days in Modena. Where everything was happening, where everything happened for Enzo. It's like the barbershop he went to, the grandson of the guy who actually was his barber, the actual factory, the place where the crash was. Everything is very meticulous and authentic and incredibly thoroughly researched, and going to the factory and seeing the engines, shipping in some of the actual cars that won the Mille Miglia. Some of these like $70 million Ferraris that he would just bring there just to get the sound, and hook up 9 mics to them and drive it through a tunnel. It's very thorough.
Yeah.
And you kind of get it. I mean, it sounds but at the same time, he's not. He's very researched, but is after something pretty abstract. He's famously. Well researched and very meticulous about clothes and sound and all of the details, but then is very good about making shit up in the moment.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Miami Vice. I was a huge Miami Vice fan.
You were
of the show. Oh God, yeah, of the show. Yeah, because I was a young teen when that
Did
show.
you dress
first
like them?
Dude,
I bet he did.
Dude, and DJ Don Johnson knows this. I've told him he knows this.
He's a nice guy.
When he shaved his head that like 3rd season or whatever, went to a buzz cut, I did it.
Oh, boy.
That's how into it I was. I thought it was so fucking cool. I'd never seen anything like it. And part of it was, Don is great. It was so cool. But the way that Michael Mann understood the making of the film, the balance of really, cool setups, really cool shots. He, really making the most of it, setting the tone that he was able to set. And with the music, he was the first guy who made like really cool modern. Like, it was almost like a lot of those shows were almost like music videos in the middle that had these incredible montages, and it was just breathtaking to watch him, do all that shit. There's that really famous one where they have. In the Air Tonight with Phil Collins, that whole sequence with the camera set up on the side of the car, you're watching the wheel, and then it's going down the thing, and then it's the reflection off the hood, and then he goes to that phone booth that's miraculously at the end of a pier all by itself.
Right. Calls his ex-wife. Yeah.
Jeez,
great shit. And you watch that. I mean, like that was like 1984, man, and like just elevated shit.
Yeah, he's very into rewatching his movies now. He's obsessed with internal life. He really believes in it. That's cinematic and interesting enough. And then when I watch like Last of the Mohicans or Heat or even Last of the Mohicans in particular, they don't have a lot of screen time to really fall in love. But because you can tell they're so filled, internally, you totally buy it. And he's really into that. All of his notes are about internal stuff. And he's
really?
rare in that way. Not a lot of directors really talk about internal.
No
shit.
In that he trusts that the audience can kind of read your mind a little bit. If you're really cooking inside, you don't need to say it. They'll lean forward and try to read you.
Yeah.
And is that about staging and the way that he shoots it? That to him in order to kind of reveal, to get into that inner life.
Yeah. He's all about all of his choices are about there's this thing where he's obsessed with ties. There's a lot of famous stories about him, someone will say an offhanded comment. I'm like, oh, that's a nice tie. And he's like, what'd you say? And they're like, oh, I was just saying that he had a nice tie. He's like, okay, we got to go find another tie. And he'll spend 2 hours finding the right tie. And then you ask him, he's like, well, if you're looking at the tie, then you're not looking at the actor's face. And I want you to be like engrossed in what's going on in the. He's like, the blacks in this scene are right. They need to be 50% like darker, because then you can really get into the pupils. It's all about like internal life. He wants to see which I think is that's what makes those movies rewatchable and timeless. Is he has a lot of respect that people will get it. Which
fucking
it's all.
Well, he's also got a Michael Mann 3/4 shot of this, like a handheld that's right behind an actor's ear, and it just kind of creeps around a little bit and exposes just one of the eyes, and it gets you inside an actor's head, or a character's head. He uses that quite a bit. I love that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a camera invented yet that would be able to reveal any inner life on Jason. I don't think that would. No, because it's like a fucking dead, like a
It's
desert.
like a dial tone inside.
I think you think of you hear like a wind going through an old outhouse out in the middle of the desert. That's the sound.
Yeah,
you know.
I fall asleep real easy. You know.
you talked about driving about Ferraris and stuff. So you got to drive. So had you ever driven a Ferrari before?
No, never driven a Ferrari.
Do you have one now?
No.
Do you want one?
Would
now?
you ever get one?
If they gave me one, sure, yeah.
Are you like a motorcycle guy at all?
I have a couple motorcycles, yeah.
You do? Of course you do.
Yeah.
You got children now, though, Adam.
Yeah, no, I know, but...
Yeah, let's get rid of those.
Do you guys know this, that I had a Ferrari for a few years?
Is that right?
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I had
wait. Yeah.
I had
Did
that
somebody
old...
fucking buy you one?
It's a long story, but I had that. They did.
Jeez.
But I was gifted a Ferrari, but it was one of those old, a Ferrari, the 412. It kind of looks like a coupe. Do you remember that car? And it's at the beginning of Rain Man, Tom Cruise is driving that when he's going out to Palm Springs, and he gets the phone call, and he's got to turn around with the windmills in behind. It's a beautiful, beautiful car.
You wanted to be Don Johnson and Tom.
So you went ahead,
I know.
you sold that Ferrari, the gift to you, and you turned a little profit, I guess, huh?
I ended up selling it because, you know why? Because if you didn't drive it all the time, it would sit there and you would constantly have to repair shit, and
Right.
that's just the way it was. And I did
what a
it.
relatable story. So you just pocketed, what did you get, about 150 grand for it or something like that? Good for
By the
you.
way, no, because I paid so much to keep. Anyway,
A lot of taxes.
Anyway, Adam, it's been such a pleasure. Listen.
It does seem relatable, though.
No, but I
Kind of.
know what you mean. But
Wait,
also
when does
those
Ferrari come out?
Christmas Day.
Christmas fucking day.
Just in
yeah.
time.
Okay, like a gift from Jesus.
Yeah, himself.
Adam, I could just ask you, man. I'm just fascinated with. I'm such a fan of what you've done, man, and I'm just so happy for you, dude. And you do seem like such a genuinely good guy.
Yeah,
and
love it.
honestly,
Big talent crush, like I said.
yeah, big talent. And
thank
you know
you,
what? Like Jason said, I wanted to say this before, and Jason said when people run into you, it's not like you're just like there's a difference between being a celebrity and being an actor, and you're such an actor, and I mean that as such a compliment. You're such an artist.
for sure.
Hate using that term, but it's true to you, man. And anyway, I just wanted to say that. I just think that you're...
that means a lot. That really means
man.
a lot.
Thank you. You are amazing, man.
Yeah.
So glad that you joined us today. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no, thank you for
Yeah,
having
thanks,
me.
buddy.
Yeah.
I'll look you up when I get to Brooklyn, and
No, he's good, man. He's good.
Long
He's super busy.
Come by,
son.
You're gonna
yeah.
love it. Yeah. Thanks, Adam. Such a pleasure to meet
Adam
you.
Driver, thanks, buddy. Thanks
All
for
right.
taking
Bye,
your
buddy.
time.
Thank you. Thanks for having
Yeah.
me.
All right.
All right.
See you.
Bye.
Wow. Right?
Yeah.
JB, I knew you knew him.
Yeah, I'm surprised what didn't come up was some sort of tie-in to his last name and the Ferrari movie, right? Who's going to do that? One of these critics are going to do it, right? Somebody writing a review or something. Driver really drives this driving movie, huh? Something like that?
Yeah,
They can go ahead and
exactly.
Yeah,
use
well,
that.
if they're going to do it, it'll be probably a little bit sharper
No,
than that.
probably
I
something like
imagine.
that.
Yeah. Well, the whole time, anytime you said that word,
Something like that. Maybe something like that.
he's really cool.
He
It's
is very
wild
cool.
to meet him. It's really cool. That's
That is,
Kylo
he's
Ren.
a very, very good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems very sort of like he's got like a generous spirit.
Like you said, he's an actor. He's an actor's actor.
And he's an actor. Oh, yeah, he's an actor. He's so good.
calm. He's
Yeah.
I was excited to have
Like
him.
he's gonna be with us for a long time. He's gonna be like one of
Yeah,
our
and-
great actors, like until we're old and gray.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just I don't know. There's something about I love the fact that, and I know I don't feel like I did a good job of getting into it of like this. The way that he just he applied to Juilliard when he was 17, didn't get in, but then he went into the military, but then he came back to it. And he went to LA and then his car broke down and he fucking went home, but he came back to it. Like he was not going to be, this is what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And he knew he had a gift for it.
you don't stop till you get it.
And you don't
He's
stop.
a serious person that
Yeah.
also it's got a great sense of humor. Not
Yeah,
often
he's
you
really
find that
funny.
combo.
Really, really funny.
I didn't know. First of all, didn't know he was in the Marine Corps, and
Oh, you
that's
didn't
why.
know that?
That's why I asked him like
He did like a TED talk where he talked about it. I saw that.
Oh,
It was
really?
I don't
Yeah.
follow all the TED talks.
Yeah,
But-
it's really.
You're not up in your TED.
No,
I'm sure he's not the only actor that's been a Marine, but you don't hear about it a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
there's
and
not a lot of
the whole time
Rob
he
Riggle.
was there. That's why I asked him if he
Yep.
was thinking about act. What's that?
Rob Riggle.
Rob Riggle. Was
Yep.
also in the Marines.
That I knew for some
Yeah.
reason.
But yeah, you don't hear about it a lot. So you didn't know he was in the Marines, and what
I
else?
didn't know he was in the Marine. And I like what he said about Michael Mann too. About you always buy into it, and everything that Adam does. I think.
Oh, I thought you just
every part
skipped
that
by
he
your
plays,
buy right there. You said
every
buy
part
into
that
it.
Adam plays,
Sure.
you also
Oh, buy into it?
into it.
No. Will, you got anything?
I was going to say less sloppy and just like easy way out, like as if you're late for a bus. I'm going to say, hearing what he said, those were really words to live.
Bye.
Bye.
Acceptable. We will allow. Bye.
SmartLess.
SmartLess is 100% organic and artisanally handcrafted by Bennett Barbaco, Michael Grant Terry, and Rob Armjarf.
SmartLess.